Alright, welcome back everybody to Katawa Shoujo. We just finished our lunch on the roof and now we are heading back, I think. Come on, we'd better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total sins enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Ah, sorry Yuko, didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens. A lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. I hope you are reading a good novel, not something trashy. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly though, I'm not surprised. She's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent pursuing the ales, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. Feeling utterly drained, I head to my room to read the books I borrowed. There's been enough action and excitement for one day already. Yeah, that's true. The first is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I know the story, of course, but I've never actually read the original book. I didn't either. Oh well. It's just as trippy as I remember the story to be, with the wacky characters and nonsense plot. I start thinking of myself as some kind of Alice too, helplessly tumbling down the rabbit hole into the cripple wonderland. What is wrong with you? No, really, I don't partake in this anymore. From now on you are reading yourself if you are talking this kind of nonsense. Cripple Wonderland. Remember that you're a cripple yourself, douchebag. Okay, that's a rather strong expression. Yeah, you better apologize. Still, the isolated location and the overt way the school accommodates to absolutely everything is unsettling. It is like another world. I wonder why I can't shake the feeling of being an outsider like Alice, despite most everyone being so hospitable and friendly with me. Man, I don't think you're an outsider. You're like a week there and you're still totally integrated. You're like a part of them. Turning another page, my mind starts drifting further away from the book. It's quiet. I can hear my heartbeat thumping against the fabric of my shirt. Oh my. For some reason it makes me feel really bad, like it has since that time in the forest with Iwanako. Like I was locked in a cage with something nasty and scary. I put the book down for a while and stare at the ceiling, taking my time to shake off the feeling. 200 pages later I fall asleep. Oh my, I hope you don't get a heart attack or something because I decided to run. Man, you shouldn't race with her, you should just run a little bit more than last time. Why are you such an idiot? The students roll into the class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. Muto lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some pages and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffian papers. That can partially be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizune aren't present. Probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Or maybe a little bit of both. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha. Engrossed? Okay. That I don't even notice Muto approaching my desk. Sure. What's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Oh no, I killed him! I bet I killed him with the running. Now he has like 2 days left or something like that. Oh no. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. If it's like that, I will pick it up again. I don't accept an ending like this. Well, if it's the case, I'm just speculating. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say. Not knowing what's going on, I wait silently. I heard from the school's head nurse that you had an incident the other day. Ah, so it's about that. Well, kind of, but it's not anything to be worried about. Yes. Yes, it is. Anything that can endanger your health is something to be worried about. We try our best here to prepare you for your life. Part of that involves knowing your limits and how to work around them. It would be remiss of me if I didn't speak up about this. Alright, I get it. I'm sorry. Muto closes his eyes in frustration, and I realize that this probably wasn't the best thing to say. Something tells me that you're not sorry. Pretend as much as you want, but this isn't a normal school. A lot of people have put in a lot of time, effort and money to make sure that you and every other student here can have the same level of education as your peers. For you to abuse that by throwing out advice, especially medical advice, is plain selfish. I'm not quite sure if this is actually how he feels, or if it is some act that he's practiced many times to guilt trip students into doing the right thing. Either way, it's working. I understand. This is all new to me and I apologize. I know my limits now and I'll be sticking to them. Oh, okay. Muto appears to lighten up a little, satisfied that his message has been received. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I probably had nothing better to do. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. Yeah. Well, yeah. You've got to keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in the world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind and I'll do that as long as I play this game because I'm an idiot. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over and he has gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think, in hindsight, that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. I see. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at this suggestion is unsurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. Yeah, might be better. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the question on the board. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the near silence that Muto and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feeling of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away, until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. Yeah, when the teacher says in the end you have to do this and this for homework. Man, this was always fun. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to the last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions, so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend, with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least normally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Well, I think Hanako couldn't go to Lily's class by herself. At least it seems like this. Despite the relatively proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil that splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. Wow, that was cute. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye, out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. After about 10 minutes of restlessly shuffling in her seat and trying to read, Hanako closes her book and leaves too. As should I, since the assignment is all but finished and there is nothing else to do in the classroom. Not that I have anything to do anywhere else either. The school is beheave of activity, but nobody pays me any heat. Heat. I don't know. Probably heat. I saunter past classrooms, filled with students frenetically doing this and that, buzzing around like little worker bees. You wouldn't guess the school day is over. It's a bit quieter outside, but not much. I think it's loud outside, but okay. People zip by left and right, hurrying as quickly as they can, busy and energetic. I feel the opposite. The midday sun seems to be draining all the spirit out of my body, making it feel limp all over. Warm, soft air flows into my shirt, feeling like a cushion. I yawn lazily, thinking about what I'd do. I drop off my books at the dorms first, and then... something I haven't decided yet. Maybe Kenji is in his room. Oh god, you are that bored, even though you hate Kenji? On the way to dorms, I spot Emi coming my way, running despite not having those weird running prosthetics on. Okay, that's what it's called in English. I wave at her and she skids to a stop. Yo, Hisao! Spatters of white and green paint adorn her nose. Can you see that? No, okay. And chin respectively, but a smile as wide as it seems it always is. She leans closer to me, amplifying the feeling she is examining me. What you doing? Nothing really. I don't have anything to do for the festival, and everyone seems to be doing something important. That's perfect! Then you can help me and Rin. With festival's preparations. I'm not sure if I would be of much help. That's fine. I'm not much help either. Emi grabs my wrist and starts dragging me back inside the school quite forcefully. Even her walking speed is more like jogging, making me stumble over myself simply trying to keep up. The stairs slow Emi down a little bit. Maybe it's hard to climb with her legs, or maybe she's finally run out of breath. We go all the way back to the 3rd floor and to the seniors' hallway, ending up where I left 5 minutes ago. I could just as well have stayed here waiting for Emi, had I known. So, is Rin working on that mural still? That's right. It's her. That's right. She needs all kinds of paints and brushes and stuff, so I went to get them from the art classroom. And you need me to help with that? Well, Rin told me you had already helped her, so I thought you wouldn't mind. I see. So thanks to Emi's flaky logic, here I am again, collecting stuff from the art classroom for other people. The room is empty apart from ourselves, and the lonely specks of dust floating in the air. Emi skips straight to the back wall, digging out a tiny, crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. While she tries to make sense of the scrawled handwriting, I take a closer look at the materials lying around here. Dozens of paint cans and bottles are arranged on the shelves in a most unorganized fashion. Some look like they have been left there for several decades. Relics of previous art club generations. Next to the heavy stacks of neatly piled drawing paper are boxes full of different sized brushes and unsorted crayons. The smells of paint, turpentine and fresh paper float in the stale air, mixing in my nostrils to form that unmistakable scent of art. Emi studies her notes, comparing them to markings on the various paint cans, and passes them to me as she finds the correct matches. She stretches her neck to look on the topmost shelf, but it's not quite enough. Yeah, compared to Lily, for example, she's like half Lily's size. So, yeah. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Emi gives up and just looks up to the shelf longingly, like a child at a toy store, huffing in annoyance. After a moment of building anger, she starts jumping up and down, apparently trying to speed read the labels during the fraction of a second she can see them and catch what she can. It's no surprise that she fails miserably and almost manages to bring the entire shelf crashing down. You know, if you weren't such a douchebag you could help her, but knowing you probably wait until she asks it because you want to feel important and stuff. Now I see why me lending a hand here would be useful. Aha, finally. Come on, let me do that. You can't jump high enough, and I don't want you to hurt yourself trying. Also, I'm like twice your height. You are not. She turns around, flaring scorn, flushed cheeks and all. Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, I'll look up there, okay? She glares at me one more time, but can't come up with a retort. With a grudging turns her back to me. So I begin scrunging around the top shelf for paints while below Amy crouches to scavenge what she can from the cupboards. I shake my head a little, after double checking to ensure she can't see me do so. Amy having a complex about her height was a surprise. I wouldn't have joked about it otherwise. She seems easygoing, but I guess everyone has their weak spots. Only after we have almost all the items collected and spread out on a desk like a treasure hunter spoils do. As a treasure hunter spoils do, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the height jab that got her riled up. She might not like to be told that she can't do something, like jump. Maybe, I don't know. But Amy herself seems to have forgotten all about it already. Quick to anger, quick to forgive. Is she that type of person? Well, I think I'm a little bit like that myself, so, you know, it's nothing I think of too bad, so we're cool, Amy. At least she doesn't seem to have taken anything to heart. I hope you are cool with me. I just remember that I insulted you and not the other way around. As she chatters away happily while we pick up the rest of the items and then make our way back to Rin. At chivalrously. Really? Chivalrously. So like a knight. A noble knight. Ha! I didn't even know that chivalrously is a word, but I get what it means. Carry the bulk of the materials as we make our way towards the dormitories. Rin is really stressed about getting her paintings done. It's her own fault though. She should have started earlier. Is she going to make it? No idea. It looks good to me, but with Rin, you never know what's going on. I found her this morning lying in front of the dorm in fetal position. She had slept all night. I can't believe that the night nurse hadn't found her. And now she's painting again like crazy. Artists, you know, artists. Yeah, I've noticed that she comes off as kinda unhinged, so to speak. Amy giggles at that, as well as at my likely too obvious awkwardness. I don't mind it. She's just a little weird sometimes. On that I can agree with her. Unlike me, Amy seems to be cool with Rin's, whatever it is that feels so off about her. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizune do. With them working as a single entity sometimes, it's hard to say where one ends and the other begins. Yeah, but I think being two persons is better. I think it's not good. Really, it's not good for Misha that she is so much. She's more Shizune than she is herself. That's a little bit bad for her, I think. And too much. I mean, she's a schoolgirl and it's not like a job or something. Even though they're so different, just like Amy and Rin are. And Rin is the most different of them all. Different from anyone else I've met. Yeah, I guess she's a very unique person. I return to that word again as if it encompasses Rin's personality by itself, but really it's just a substitute for a lengthy description of her oddities. Man, you're so judgmental. I mean, I'm a little bit judgmental too, who isn't, but you're like, you're so full of it. Really, you're so full of it. And you're full of yourself, too. Everything, everyone, and everything is crazy, except me. Huh. Amy giggles and as I grasp about for a probably descriptive word. She's just weird. You know, earlier she just spent half an hour sitting on her box and stared at her toes. She giggles again in a way that makes me think she doesn't know what's funny about it. It just is. Yeah, that's kind of funny. All that time. The working area is a mess, but the mural itself has taken over even more of the wall since I last saw it. The disfigured human figures have been mostly colored in tones of red, pink, and orange. Weird, imaginary, things populating the space between. It looks nice. I can't think of any word that would describe the work concisely and comprehensively, so I settle myself on a nondescript nice. But honestly, it seems that the area around the wall becomes untidy at the same rate as the mural progress. The ground is littered with dozens of paint cans, various art supplies and empty soda bottles. Well, that's kind of normal when people are working there. Rin herself is in the center of this chaos, standing there looking very cozy as if she was a natural part of the scene. Her pants legs have been rolled up to her knees, exposing her thin legs, which sports a drying spectrum of war paintings, similar to those on Amy's face. Yeah, she went to war, man, she went to war. The art war. The most brutal kind of war. Amy sprints to Rin ahead of me and gleefully jumps in front of her. I'm back. That was fast. Did you run in the corridors again? Hisao, help me. Amy points victoriously at me. Rin turns around following Amy's finger with her eyes, looking at my general direction. She nods absent-mindedly at me. She looks like she hasn't slept since last night. Now she has this awesome look again. Man, this look. Hilarious. Man, whoever drew this is a genius. A vacant, glazed stare that's focused slightly off me, and movements like in a slow-motion movie. Hello, Hisao. Thank you for the help. Don't mention it. I just did. Never mind. Looks like you've made progress. Looking good as far as I can tell. But now you got more bad luck. I know, but I'm willing to take the risk. That's a very nice thing to say. For me, of course. Not for you. This is why artists are always unlucky. They have to constantly look at their own unfinished paintings. So artists can't find romance, their favorite TV shows are cancelled, or they die young because of an unspecified disease. It's a deep and mysterious law of the universe. Unless they are blind. She considers this for a while, looking like she's going to fall asleep. There is a boy. At the art club, you see. Blind boy. So he doesn't see. He should become an artist. No bad luck guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. Yeah, might be complicated. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize, but can't remember the name of it. Amy arranges the supplies and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Amy, I need the Prussian blue paint. Which one's is Prussian blue? She's staring helplessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with the Prussian blue paint in it. Jeez, Rin, you're not helping at all. I look at around as well, even though I don't know what Prussian blue looks either. I wonder what blue has to do with Prussia. Yeah? No. I know, probably the uniforms, isn't it? Military uniforms, so Prussian blue. Or what Prussia even is. Douchebag! Greetings from Germany. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. While none of the blue looks more Prussian than the others, the small print on the label is legible enough to determine that none say anything about the contents being Prussian. There is no Prussian blue here. We need to get more then. I open my mouth to say that actually we're not both needed for such a simple task like finding another pot of Prussian blue, but Emi's already grabbed my arm and started dragging me off. I waved her in, who doesn't seem to have noticed that the two of us are even leaving. Well, she'll notice when she goes for a Prussian blue and finds out it's still not there. Maybe. Probably not, actually. This was cool. While I'm busy thinking of how weird Rin is... She is cool, not weird. Emi's been dragging me back to the art classroom. I feel myself starting to run out of breath. What's the rush? Huh? Emi's giving me an appraising look, as if she's trying to figure something out. It's just that you seem to be in a hurry. I'm not sure I can keep up. Comprehension dawns on her face. You're not out of breath, are you? There's almost an accusing playfulness to her tone. I'm tempted to deny it, but then I realize that I've been breathing heavy since we stopped. Guess it's kind of obvious. A little. Not everybody can be in shape, you know. Takes all kinds, right? Emi frowns. It's not a particularly good frown, though. That is... I should get in shape. Not that I hadn't already decided to try for that. After that flutter on the track, I figure there's a real need to get in some sort of running habit. I was, after all, feeling pretty good until I had my false alarm. Well, actually I wasn't, but it was fun. Meanwhile, my comment seems to have helped Emi come to some sort of decision. Well, that's it then. She gives me a serious look. You're joining me. I beg your pardon? In the mornings. You and I are now running partners. I've got a routine all planned out. In fact, she produces a crumpled sheet of paper. Oh my god. What have I gotten myself into? I've got it right here with me. I take the sheet of paper and give it a once-over. Times, dates, laps, all laid out. A slow increase from just a few laps a day too. My god, does she expect to have me running marathons? And where did she find the time to get this all together? And how long has she been planning this anyway? You've been planning this? A little. But it's really the nurse's idea. He told me to keep an eye on you, to make sure you exercise like he told you to. A vast conspiracy. Maybe Kenji's onto something here. Yeah, but the nurse is a dude, so... But maybe he's on the feminist side. This seems a bit much for just keeping an eye on me. Well, to be honest, I've been trying to find a running partner in the mornings for a while now. My god, Kenji, if you could only see the scheme of unfolding. Oh my. What do you need a partner for anyway? It's easier to keep up a workout if you're not the only one doing it. Isn't that obvious? You're less likely to quit if someone else is counting on you to be there, right? I see. And this won't only keep you running, but it'll make sure that I keep running as well. Meaning that I'll be obeying the nurse. And I'm keeping an eye on you just like he asked. You caught on quick, Hisao. I'm not an idiot. Well, I'm a douchebag, but not an idiot. And if I refuse, I have no intention of refusing, of course, but I've got to at least put up a token resistance to such a masterfully executed plan. Well, if you refused, I'd have to pout. And you'd have to live with being the guy who made Emi Ibarazaki pout. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? As if to demonstrate, Emi begins pouting. It is the most adorable, heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen. Okay, I'll do it. Just don't do that. I feel like I just hit a puppy. So it's settled, right? You're going to be my running partner. Follow the workout and the dietary plan. Dietary plan? Yeah, the dietary plan. You've got to eat healthy if you're going to get in shape, you know. I examine the workout routine closely. I don't see a dietary plan on here. Alright, I forgot to give you that to you. Another crumpled sheet of paper is produced and handed over. It's somewhat less detailed. I had the nurse help me come up with it. The amount of dedication that the nurse has to keeping me in good health is pretty overwhelming. I don't know many school nurses who would get one of their students to spy on me, much less help come up with a dietary plan. Then again, I guess I'm not in a normal school. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Then again, this dietary plan seems to cut out just about everything that will be offered at the festival tomorrow. Huh. So when does our running start? After the festival, alright. Right after? What if I've had something to eat there? I could get a stomach ache, you know. I meant the day after the festival. I knew that. Wasn't there something we were supposed to be doing? Oh, I guess we should get the paint for Rin, huh? Oh no, it slipped my mind. By the time we get the paint and get back to the mural, Rin's already wandered off. Oh well. Amy and I both decide to part ways there, leaving the paint on the ground. Rin will find it, whenever she comes back anyway. Festival is tomorrow. I'm actually a little excited for it. At the same time, the weeks left me feeling pretty tired, so I read a little and then go to bed. I think this is the perfect point to stop, isn't it? Probably at the festival something special will happen. Maybe this is already the... I don't mean already, I mean this game is pretty long and I'm playing it for a long time, but it might be the end. I don't know. At least it's some kind of climax. Alright, I think we'll stop here. Good. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll definitely go on playing, so come back for more and see you then. Bye bye.